Hey, my name is Melinda Russell, and I am obsessed with telling the stories of women involved in motorsport, young and older, from all walks of life, currently involved in a wide range of roles or sharing their stories from the past. I'm a wife, mother of 4 adult children, and a mama of 16. In 2017, I was searching social media for a group dedicated to women in motorsports. When I didn't find what I was looking for, I posted a message to a few racing pages to see if any women would like to connect with me. And now I have thousands of women and men who are part of the Women's Motorsports Network. As crew chief of the only media company dedicated to women in motorsports, I work from wherever my travels take me, publishing this podcast, the Women's Motorsports Network News Online Magazine, and Let's Talk Racing Live, my social media show. You will hear from women who share their stories from the grid of life, how they manage the messy and memorable moments of family, work, and racing. You will hear their tried and true secrets of success, and many other topics like friendships, family, hardships, and heroes that women deal with to balance the seasons of life. So grab your favorite beverage, pull up a seat, make sure you are comfy, and get ready to be inspired and encouraged from the stories on the Women's Motorsports Network podcast. Serafina Safety Apparel protects women better. They offer superior, leading-edge protective apparel for women who refuse to settle for what has been and accept the status quo. Their goal is to provide the customers with relevant products and the assurance that the total body protection system provides extra time to escape the dangers of on-the-job hazards. Serafina Safety Apparel offers premium, next-generation flame-resistant apparel that is disrupting what has been and revolutionizing what's next for women working in industrial, military, fire service, motorsports, and more. To learn more, give Kelly a call at 1-800-946-0897. That's Serafina Safety Apparel at 800-946-0897. Hello, everyone. This is Melinda Russell with the Women's Motorsports Network podcast. And we are going to talk to a couple of very interesting young people today, and they're going to tell us a little bit about themselves. And so we're going to learn more about what they're doing, how they got involved in motorsports. And so we're going to start with you, Preston. Tell us your name, where you live, your family, your pets, whatever you want to share.
Well, I'm Preston Lewis. I'm the executive director and founder of the Off-Road Motorsports Youth Foundation. I've pretty much grown up in motorsports my whole life. My grandpa raced, my dad's raced, uncles on both sides of the family. So I've always been somewhat into racing, from the very beginning. Grew up in my dad's automotive repair shop. It was the place I came every day after school. It's really where I grew up completely. So all my friends were formed through there. We do a lot of fun stuff. So that's how I kind of got into the automotive industry, and then that developed into the racing industry. And yeah. Okay.
Sounds like a normal story that I hear quite often, actually.
Yeah, I think that's how a lot of them probably start out, is growing up around it.
And who's that lovely young lady sitting next to you?
My name is Taryn Hamilton. I'm 23. I kind of got into the same thing with the motorsports. I just kind of grew up around it. I used to race a little bit of four-wheelers and dirt bikes myself back when I was a little younger. And switching to the truck side of it, it's a whole different animal, but it's definitely going to be a once-in-a-lifetime experience, and it's going to be great.
Yeah, it is. I love the trucks, honestly, when I see trucks race. So I'm excited for you to do that. That sounds like a lot of fun. Yeah. So, Preston, tell me what the I have to make sure I get it right. Off-Road Motorsports Youth Foundation.
Mhm.
Tell me, what is that and how did that get started? And let's talk about that, because that's really why we're here tonight, is to get the word out about what you're doing.
Yep. So OYF, that's what we call it for short. It kind of rolls off the tongue a little bit easier. But I started that in 2019 officially. Make-A-Wish helped me form that. So in 2016, I was diagnosed with leukemia. I was getting ready to turn 16, but I hadn't quite yet. And prior to that, I had always raced motocross. That's what I had done. That's what I was used to. That's where I, planned to continue my racing career, was just continuing to motocross. Unfortunately, my diagnosis pretty much completely put that on hold, to the point that there wasn't anything else I could do except, take care of myself. And they said that, my body would never recover from all the treatments enough to where I could continue racing motocross. That's when I started getting involved into, more the desert racing scene, trophy trucks, class 10, those type of things. From there, I just kept, staying involved in it, wanting to learn more. I enrolled in an engineering program through my local high school. It was like a vocational program. I attended that while I was still on treatment. So instead of, taking time away from school just to focus on, myself, I tried to stay in school and push myself to do more. So I took, advanced physics classes, calculus, all that kind of junk, planning to go to college. That's what I had planned to do. I was going to go to college. I was going to do all that and try to, build my own racing career with hopes to eventually be able to give back and get kids involved with it. That's how I originally planned to do all this. But after, considering it longer and getting more and more involved, it seemed like it was a better idea just to go for the gold in the beginning and, go for the ultimate dream up front instead of, taking 20 years to build to it. So that's when we really started pushing to form OMYF. And that's where Make-A-Wish stepped up to help me. So I was on treatment for just over 3.5 years. I spent 360 days in the hospital. In the process of my treatments, my mother was diagnosed with brain cancer called glioblastoma, which is a really rare and odd form of brain cancer. It's mainly only seen in elderly men. For women, it's extraordinarily rare. So that, changed me from just being a patient to also a care provider, along with trying to still be involved in motorsports and racing and all of that. She passed away in October of 2019, and OMYF was kicked off in December. So that being said, while I was taking care of her, I, had already graduated high school, but I dropped out of college to take care of her. And then I kind of realized that I could put all my time into forming the foundation and, really achieving my dreams then and help other people achieve their dreams. So the whole purpose of OMYF is to get young kids that are dedicated and motivated and driven an opportunity to, kind of display their skills and educate themselves in whatever direction they choose to follow within racing. So within racing, you have, anything from social media marketing, you have, the mechanical side, you have welding and fabrication, you have driving, you have health and safety. There's so many aspects of racing that people don't always consider as a racing career.
Right.
So that's what we're here to do, is to educate the younger generation that you can still be a gearhead and do other things with your life and tie those together. And the things you learn racing apply to pretty much everything out there, financial responsibilities and budgeting. If you're going to go racing, you have to know how much you're going to spend on fuel. You have to know how much you're going to spend on tires. And I just spent today, working the budget for this year's Baja 1000, and it's not going to be cheap. And we are, I think, 18 days away. So
yeah,
that is kind of what I do. And, we network and connect with the next generation of racers. We are a fully formed 501c3, so it's a fully nonprofit organization. So when we work with sponsors and connect to them, it gives them an extra level of benefits. Not only are they represented as a sponsor, but they can, benefit tax deductions and stuff like that, so that they get more bang for their buck, essentially, along with the kids that we have involved in our foundation are potential, people that are going to either purchase their products for years to come because they're addicted to racing, or they're going to need a job from them to pay for their addiction with racing.
Yeah.
Either way, they are giving back to the community and helping grow the racing organization and keep racing alive. Because I think, as you'll see over the past 15 to 20 years, the age of racers, at least in off-road racing, I'm going to say is getting higher, and there's less and less young people coming in. And if there's no one to pass it on to, what are we doing? There's no benefits of it. So we, another level to our organization is we get mentors to come in and help educate the kids. What it took them 40 years to learn, let's cut out all the guesswork and just try to, I'm not going to say hand them the knowledge, but give them the right path to go down to get there quicker. So one of our mentors is Kurt Leduc, which most people in the off-road world know. He is a 2015 Hall of Fame entry to the Off-Road Motorsports Hall of Fame. He's had, I think, 10 Baja 1000 wins within his classes. Very, very good at what he does, but he's even better at sharing his knowledge with young people and, showing them why he does the things that he does, and explains to them that you don't have to have, the latest and greatest equipment to do everything. Sure, it's nice, but that's not realistic unless you're running on a, $6 million budget each year, and people just don't have that.
Right.
So that's, he helps guide them down that path to where they can be successful within a reasonable aspect, and help drive their career forwards.
So, Preston, I met you at PRI a few years ago, and we've connected a couple times, but as everybody knows, you're busy, I'm busy, and sometimes we let each other fall through the cracks, if you will. And we recently reconnected. But one thing I do remember about you when I met you was your passion for what you're doing. And it just showed. I mean, even in your voice, if somebody's only listening and can't see your face, it shows that you are so passionate about this. And to go through what you've gone through, and it looks like you're doing pretty well right now. Do you have to, have checkups, take any other treatments, or are you pretty much come over that hurdle?
For the most part, all that's passed. They say I have to go back yearly for, checkup and follow-up, not treatments, but just blood work. I try to go back every 6 months. I've kind of pushed them to let me come back more just because I travel a lot. I do a lot. I'm always on the road or going somewhere doing something. I do have some long-term side effects of it. Within leukemia treatment, especially through, childhood treatments, they use a lot of high-dose steroids, and that has left me with necrosis in my legs. So basically that's internal bone death from the inside out. So I really try to stay on top of those types of things. I try not to abuse my body, but as anybody knows, when you're working in the shop, it's hard manual labor, and, there's a lot of hours to put in. So I try to stay on top of everything so that I don't have any negative effects coming towards me.
Yeah.
That being said, I was cleared from treatment July of 2019. That's when they said everything was officially done. But between my diagnosis date and then, I took chemotherapy every single day, whether it was through an IV or in a pill. That was daily, no questions asked. You had to do it every day. Some days it would go up to 28 pills, and you had to take them all at once. You couldn't take 5, 5, and 5. It was all at once. So there's definitely a lot of hurdles to it. But it shows you that whatever you want to do, you can get through, and there's no reason that you can't. Just there's somebody else out there that's had a worse day than you, no matter what. I guarantee. I don't care how bad your day's been. There's somebody else that's had something worse.
Yeah.
So just pick yourself up, dust yourself off. Take a break if you have to, but go back and keep trying, because the difference between a winner and a loser is a loser tried 49 times, or the winner tried 50. You just got to try it again. You're going to succeed at some point. And that's what, the foundation teaches kids is just keep pushing and you will succeed eventually. We're trying to give them the golden ticket to life so that they can be the most successful they could ever be. And some kids aren't cut out to go to college. So come out, get your hands dirty, grab a wrench, grab a welder, come out. We have kids that just make social media videos. They're gearheads and they're really good at marketing and they do a fantastic job. That's typically, you wouldn't combine those two things, but it works well.
Right. And I love what you said about there's so many things that you can do and still be involved in motorsports. That's one of the things that I try to share through my magazine, through my podcast, is interview women who have all kinds of occupations and are involved in motorsports, because there's so many things behind the scenes that people don't think of. And so in that respect, we're kind of alike there, Preston. We're trying to let kids know that if they don't want to be the driver, maybe they want to do social media. Maybe they want to be the mechanic or whatever it is. And so I like that you're sharing that with kids.
And the more hats that you are able to wear, the more valuable you are to the team. If you can do 6 things instead of just one, you've automatically made yourself a more valued asset, And as economies and as, the way organizations are ran, you're flexible to go down different paths, and fill their need and make yourself, stay longer. I've had one gentleman, when I was trying to decide which college I was going to go to, told me that motorsports was the worst career he could ever tell somebody to get into. And this man was teaching a motorsports degree. Now tell me how that makes sense.
It makes no sense. He shouldn't have been doing that.
Well, he was not a valuable asset to a team and was let go. And then, decided to do that. I was like, that means you should have tried harder or, been more well-rounded as an individual instead of having one specific occupation you can do. Have 5, 6, 10, 12, as many things as you can do, and they can't get rid of you,
Right.
But you'll always have a job. You'll always have someplace to go. The more knowledge you have, the better.
Yeah, absolutely. So Lauren, what do you do to help with OMYF and kind of tell us your story like Preston did?
I help with OMYF in all kinds of different ways.
Lauren, I'm sorry, it's Taryn. Sorry, Taryn.
Okay. I help a little bit in all kinds of different ways. I go out and I weld, fabricate, whether that be, we built a pretty hefty transmission cage not too long ago, and Preston kind of put that one all on me and did some tube notching and some tube bending and a lot of welding. And I rebuilt all of the King shocks on the entire truck. So took all of those apart, refreshed all those, put new oil, all new seals, recharged with nitrogen, everything. I'm kind of everywhere on the truck. I can kind of do a little bit of it all.
So she's one of those people that you can't get rid of, Preston, because she's valuable, invaluable.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, but she's actually going to be one of the drivers for this year's Baja 1000.
Yeah.
Okay.
I will be a driver.
Mm-hmm.
So tell us a little bit about that. That's coming up. And what is that? Who sponsors it? Where is it? All the details.
So the Baja 1000, we will be taking off in La Paz, and we will go 1,310 miles all the way to Ensenada. And it's one of the roughest terrain courses that there is in the world out there. I think there's 4 different mountaintops, 2 or 3 beach scenes. You'll get to experience pretty well all the different seasons with all the temperature changes and everything and stuff like that. I think there's 296 entries now. So there's going to be a lot of different teams there, and it's going to be really awesome. It's going to be truly amazing.
Yeah, I think today they released.
Tell me again, where does it start?
It starts in La Paz.
Okay.
Yep.
And so if you've got 296 teams, what constitutes a team?
So the team is going to be a vehicle.
Yeah.
So there's
basically.
296 vehicles racing in this race.
Yeah.
1,800 people will be down there for the race. That's just participants, not spectators or anything like that. I think there's 13 countries and 35 U.S. states being represented this year down there.
Wow.
It is the world's longest point-to-point nonstop race. And then add into that it's off-road.
Mm-hmm.
It is,
So it's the hardest endurance race too.
Mm-hmm.
And so do they give you a certain, like they give you a map or a certain, we're going to start here today and we're going to go to this point, and then do you stop, or is it 24 hours?
It is straight through, day and night. Right now, based on our math, it's going to take us right at 43 to 45 hours to finish the race. We have a 50-hour time limit, so that puts us averaging, 30 to 33 mile an hour, which doesn't sound fast, but that's taking you time to change tires, fix stuff, refuel, change drivers, all of that.
Right.
Plus, there's extremely technical rock sections that slow us down. So those sections might be 5 to 10 mile an hour, and then you might get on a open lake bed and run, 90, because we're running a heavy metal class truck. So it's.
So how many drivers are there on a team?
You can have up to 4. We will be running 3.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so Taryn's a driver. Who else is going to be driving?
I will be driving, and my brother will be driving as well. So he is 19? 20, you're right. Yeah. He just have a birthday. So he's 20. And then he will be driving. We've got a navigator that's 17 that's going to be in the truck as well. I'll have a navigator with me. He's 22, I believe. So it's a whole team of young people. I think my dad's going to come down and get in the truck too. So it'll be a total of 6 people that cycle through the truck, 3 drivers and 3 co-drivers.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
We've been spending the past couple of days kind of planning out our fuel stops, planning out our driver changes, who's going to drive where for the most success. That way we can maximize each other's potential. What are you good at? Where do you shine through the best? And your navigator and driver can swap. So so let's say Taryn is better at the open straight sections through the whoops, keeping the truck square over the whoops. But let's say Sheldon's in there with her, and he's better at the rocks. If they run 150 miles through the whoops and they start getting to rocks, they can switch and he can get in for the rock section.
Okay.
So there's a lot of flexibility with that. That way you can really capitalize on each other's,
Yeah. Now, have you done this before?
I have not. This is a new experience for me. I think it's going to be really cool, really fun. Hopefully everything goes all as well. We've spent a lot of time, a lot of hours on the truck, getting it ready, and hopefully it's a good, clean, safe race. Yeah.
And Preston, how about you?
I think it's going to go well. I have competed in shorter desert races before, 200, 250 mile races, but nothing, 1,300 miles.
Okay.
So that being said, you can have raced in 30 Baja 1000s, and every one of them is totally different.
Sure.
Nothing's in the same spot twice. It always is ever changing. This is the first year they've ran it from La Paz to Ensenada, so it's new for every single team down there.
Okay.
Everything is different. A hurricane actually just hit La Paz 2 days ago.
Wow.
So they're trying to reroute the beginning a little bit on some of the areas that got damaged.
I was reading course notes last night, and the first 25 or 30 miles, we've got a waterfall that we're going to be in for a mile. So that means we have to drop into a stream, follow it, come back up out of the water, and then there's about 2.5 to 3 foot stair steps we have to climb up. And that's in the first 25 miles.
Wow. Well, they're going to just initiate you right off the bat and get you.
I think it's going to be a rough start. I think the middle is going to smooth it out a little bit. And then once we hit San Felipe, it's going to get tough and technical. That last 300 miles is going to be brutal. That's what's going to really separate the teams is that 300-mile push at the end. Everybody's going to be tired, worn out. Equipment's going to be abused.
Yeah.
Everybody's going to have trail repairs that are, less than ideal at that point, and it's just going to be a matter of survival. That's what this whole race is just endurance and survival. Who can be the most calm, cool, and collected and do the best job without overdriving it and abusing the truck?
Yeah. So I'm assuming they have like vehicles that follow along somewhere in case somebody needs help or gets sick or whatever. And then that's question. And then the second part of that is, when do you sleep?
You want to answer this? You want me to think about this one, Taryn?
So we have 3 different chase vehicles, they're called, and they will be staged up course waiting for us to get there. And some of them will be carrying the other set of drivers that will be hopping in next. And so when they switch out and the other drivers come out of the truck, you kind of hop in the chase truck and you shoot further up course ahead of the next truck waiting. And while you're in the truck, that's when you got some time to catch some sleep. You're trying to eat. You're trying to get yourself rehydrated. You're just trying to take really good care of yourself, trying to give your mind a fresh reset for your next leg in the vehicle.
Okay.
Yeah, we're trying to shoot for each driver navigator pair to be in the truck for no longer than 5 to 6 hours at a time. That's, pretty much where you're going to be pretty exhausted, beat to the desert. So get out, get some sleep, refresh, recharge, get to your next location. And as long as everything is planned out correctly, we should have a couple hours of downtime at the next location waiting on the truck so that you can actually get some good sleep and the chase truck driver can get some sleep, and part of that is you have to be ready for them to pull in and have stuff broken. So you have to have some tools and equipment out and ready, have lights set up. They pull up, you help get those drivers out, you guys get in, check the truck over, take off. The chase truck gets repacked, everybody climbs in and takes off, goes out, gets back on the highway, and proceeds on.
Okay.
So there's a lot of moving parts. It's like a chaotic dance up the peninsula. Everybody's trying to pass each other to keep it all just going perfectly.
And so if there's close to 300 vehicles, I mean, are you there's a truck right in front of you and one behind you? Are you all really close together? Or, I realize some are going to go faster than others, but overall, are you mostly able to see other trucks, or do you feel more like you're kind of out there alone?
Honestly, I would just say it kind of depends. When you take off from the starting line, you take off in, I think, 2-minute intervals. So, you'll take off, and then 2 minutes behind you is somebody else coming. And, if they want to completely bash their truck, they're going to do anything and everything they can to pass you. It just really depends. There could be a bunch of people all jumbled up in one spot, and then you could not see somebody for 100 miles.
Okay.
Yeah, it depends on the section of the race. It depends on your truck. It depends on how hard you're pushing, and if you're staying on your, intended pace.
Schedule.
If you stay on pace, in theory, you should always kind of be around some vehicles.
Okay.
If you get off pace, you might get into a section where you're just kind of out there alone feeling for a while. But it's the middle of the desert, so even if you're a mile away from somebody, you feel like you're alone.
Oh,
There's nothing. You're not going to see headlights. You really may not be that far away, but you sure feel like it.
Yeah.
So it's.
Do you have to plan and take all your food and coolers, or and your gas and extra clothes and all that has to be figured out? And then the chase vehicles, do they carry that with them?
Yep. So they will carry all of our personal stuff. They will carry tools. They will carry spare parts for the truck, extra tires, a little bit of everything.
So how big are these chase vehicles?
They're just half-ton pickup trucks is what we're using. Some teams use bigger trucks. Some teams use smaller trucks. It's kind of a personal preference, and everybody's got a theory I know the Herbst race team, they use like box trucks, like a Penske moving truck.
Yeah.
And they load they've got a drill press, they've got like a real welder, they've got everything in there.
Okay.
But I mean, they are operating on a well-funded budget that they can just go wide open at it.
They have the means to do that.
Yeah, we're running on a much tighter budget. So that means, the tools and equipment are more limited. That just means we have to be more creative. That's just how it works. And
I would guess that the majority of the teams are going to be like you. I mean, there's always those teams with all the money, but I would guess that most of the teams are going to be more like what you're doing. So,
for
how
this,
do you raise funds to help you do this?
Currently, a lot of our funding comes from our sponsors. We have some private donors that supply just like financial funding, but a lot of our sponsors provide product.
Okay.
So this year, like I said, we're running the heavy metal class. Whenever we get back from the race, we are going to be starting a brand new chassis for the team, and we are going to try to run the trophy truck class, which is the top dog down there. That is the guys that have unlimited budgets. Mm-hmm. So we have partnered with a company called the BLM Group out of France. They're a 5-axis CNC laser cutter manufacturer, and they've agreed to CNC cut all of our chassis. They will cut all that out, label it all, part number it all, put all the bins in it, and they're going to cut 3 chassis for us.
Wow.
One chassis comes back with us to be welded out and raced. The other chassis is going to be tack welded and go back to their Michigan headquarters to be hung on display. And then the third chassis goes out west to the gentleman that designed the truck. And he and his team are going to build a matching truck of sorts completely across the country. And we're going to, relay back and forth with YouTube, kind of do a collaboration. So you can see what it's like to have a team of kids build a truck and we're a professional team, but a, long-standing professional team.
Right.
What the differences are and how do we hold up against them, Do the kids do just as well? Do they, exceed expectations? How does that all play out? But that being said, building a brand new chassis in-house is rare, for a small team to do. Most teams go out and, purchase a used chassis and throw their motor and transmission in it. We're starting from the ground up, all the way down to building our own chassis table to fit it and everything. So that's where the kids are really going to get a ton of experience.
Yeah. Okay. So, how many people, do you guys work regular jobs during the day and then you do this? Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yep.
And so then you do this at night or on the weekends or whatever. So that's what I thought. And how many are there of you that are going to build this new truck?
We've got 12 currently.
Okay.
And we're trying to grow that a little bit more. We'd really like for next year's race to take a team of about 25 to 30 people down would be ideal. But we have to have 30 quality people, quality kids that are coming on board. So that's part of them, applying to us online. I know everybody kind of says it's a little bit of a hassle, but you have to have a little bit of that to see how motivated they are,
Oh, yeah, you absolutely do. For what you're doing, you've got to have people that are committed.
Yeah, so on our website, there's a tab that says, get involved. You click on that, and it asks, do you want to be a mentor, or are you a kid wanting to get involved? The mentors go through the same process. They tell us who they are, what they want to do, what information and knowledge they bring to the table. We review all that and say, hey, we would like you to join our team.
Okay.
The kids do the same thing, except we've made it to where they can just do a video. Like, you can upload a video to it and just walk around, talk to us, tell us who you are, what you do. And then it's like a more of an interview process after that. We will reach back out to you and say, hey, we like what we saw. We want to hear more. And we work with kids all over the country. So even though COVID came through, in 2020 and all that kind of stuff, it taught us that you can do so much over Skype and Zoom and all that. We can teach you a ton of stuff.
Absolutely.
Using, the computer and the internet. So we can go through the initial footwork that way, and then you can schedule times to be in the shop and come out, get your hands on the truck. We currently work 3 nights a week. plus all day Saturday. That's our standard operating times.
Okay.
But as we're approaching the race, we're running 7 Saturday, Sunday, and then all 5 evenings through the week.
Yeah.
Last night we were up till, I think I went to bed at 4:30 this morning. So if I'm a little bit slow sounding, we were up trying to get the truck finished up so we could do some testing this afternoon in the middle of the day. So we took off our lunch hours and went and put some miles on the truck so we can do some fuel economy testing and figure out how to ration fuel and everything for the race.
So tell me, where do you live? I don't think we brought that up.
So we're located in the race shop is in Oakland City, Indiana. It's about 20 minutes from Evansville. Evansville is the most notable city near us. There's an airport within 20 minutes of the race shop.
Okay.
Fly in, come out, work in the shop. We get welding instructors scheduled. We're organizing some classes and stuff like that to be more fluid about how things work. Currently the way it works is, you kind of tell us what you want to get involved in, come out to the shop, work with us, get your hands dirty, see what you're good at, and then we kind of go from there. But we're opening it up to where after this race, the new year starts, we will have posted, classes like, hey, we're opening, we have 10 spots available for a Saturday, Sunday TIG welding course.
Okay.
Or, you can do a virtual TIG welding course with us, or you want to do sheet metal fabrication, let's go over some of that. How do you do this in your home shop? Things along those lines.
Okay. So one thing, let's talk about your website, or how do they get in touch with you? So I'm assuming it's OMYF something. So tell us that.
It's www.omy-foundation.org. That's how you find us on the internet. And then we also have Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. You just search up OMYF or Off-Road Motorsports Youth Foundation on any of those platforms. You'll pull us up right away. It's a big green logo and normally a loud truck on there in a video or something like that. But that's how. And
then you probably would still take some kind of help for your trip in 18 days. So if somebody wanted to get involved or send you a couple $100 or whatever it might be, how would they do that?
There's a donation button on our website and on our Facebook. You can get on either one of those to make contributions. We also have a GoFundMe that's normally up and running. They can, donate through there, and GoFundMe does not take a percentage because we are a nonprofit. So 100% of it comes to us. We also have done a new thing called an Amazon wish list. Some people like to see exactly where their dollar goes.
Yeah.
So it's a wish list, and it's like, hey, these are the tools and stuff that the team needs. You can buy it. It gets shipped to us, leave your little note in the box with us. You can write something to us. We send you back, stickers and a thank you, and we unbox it normally live on TikTok or YouTube for people to see there. So you get
like that. I didn't know Amazon did that, but I really like that because some people, sending cash is like a gift card, and some people want to actually buy something. So that's really good. So
we've got stuff on there from like $15 flashlights to socket and ratchet sets, floor jacks, jack stands, all kinds of different odds and end things that people don't think about needing, but it's super handy. Like, the amount of times, or like safety glasses, those are on there. We've had several people send boxes of safety glasses. You know how many often you destroy a pair of safety glasses in a shop, and then you got to dig around and find another clean pair. It's not so. That's really nice. That works well. Yeah,
that's great. Awesome.
And, we are definitely very open to having, young women get involved. We've had more response than I ever anticipated. So much so that I'm reaching out to people and companies trying to find smaller welding gloves.
Okay.
Because, the regular men's size is just like,
they're way too big.
Yeah, it's too big. And, welding helmets. We had this conversation the other day. Women's welding helmets would be such a benefit just because the frame needs to be smaller. They don't adjust down. The actual shield is massive, and you can't get up in the roll cage like you need to. It's bulky and cumbersome, and it almost becomes a fight for them sometimes. And obviously, it depends on the person, but, those are things that could be developed.
Those are really good ideas. You should reach out to the manufacturers and suggest that to them, because there's a lot more women welding nowadays than you would have ever thought.
And most women are better than the guys. Just going to go ahead and say it now. Their heart rate's slower. They don't have the ego. They're way more relaxed. They do a better job. It's how it goes.
It's funny. My husband used to work for Stryker. They make Stryker beds, like for hospitals and that. If you watch TV, they're in all the TV shows. They're yellow beds that come out of the like ambulance and stuff. Anyway, he would tell you the same thing, and he's been a welder for 50 years or more. He would tell you the same thing, that women make better welders. And then I have a funny story for you about welding. So when I was in high school back in the early 1970s, we had a shop class where we learned how to weld, and then we had a home ec class where we learned how to cook and all that, and then we had to take a different shop class where we built a birdhouse. If that tells you, some kind of wood. So when we were doing the welding portion of that semester, I used to have very long hair, and I see Taryn, she has her hair pulled back, but I didn't. And all of a sudden I could smell something burning. And the teacher came running over and ripped the helmet off, and my hair was on fire. And so he took the scissors. So needless to say, I had to get my hair cut. But I can see why the women need a different kind of helmet, because that helmet was like bouncing up and down on my head, because it was way too big. And so I think those are great ideas, that you need to reach out to makers of helmets and gloves and say, hey, I have a friend who created pants like mechanics pants, pants that like mechanic men would wear, only she made them for women with all the little pockets and stuff, because they're not built the same. And so she came up with these. And so the more that women get involved in these kind of occupations, the more the manufacturers are going to have to come around and realize that they've got to make some new products too, for sure.
Yeah. I mean, so like when Taryn got involved with us, and, we, started getting into welding and that sort of thing with her, I don't know, probably 20, 30 minutes into it, she was running complete TIG beads, which, for people that aren't familiar with TIG welding, one hand is controlling a torch. Yeah. One foot is controlling a pedal, which is how hot the arc is burning. And your other hand is the filler metal that you're dipping into the molten puddle. Yeah. To make the weld profile.
You got to be coordinated.
Most of the time, I know when I started out being self-taught with all that. So it took me several days of messing with it to get it to where I could run anything even that resembled a welding bead. And, I've taught other people, and normally it's a couple hours, but every girl that's come in and got into that, 15, 20, 30 minutes, it's like bam, 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 no big deal. I'm like, I just don't get it. It just works. That's like, okay.
Yeah, it's just, we're built different. We have different, abilities and talents, and that's why God didn't make two of the same. He made us different. And so that was a good thing. So I'm not going to keep you much longer, because I know that you guys are supposed to be working tonight. Is there anything that we haven't talked about that you want to make sure people know about, either the OMYF or the Baja 1000 or anything at all that you're involved in?
Me personally, I would say nothing is out of reach. Anything is possible. I mean, we are a young group, out here doing this with not a lot of the tools or machines or even the finances, that some of these people out here, like we've talked about, do have, but we made it possible. I mean, I honestly would just say my key point would just be, I'd never give up. Nothing. Your dreams are limitless.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with that.
I love that, Taryn. Thank you for saying that.
The financial thing, the difference between having a lot of money is just how hard are you going to work.
Mm-hmm.
You can pay someone to do something if you have the finances, or you got to learn how to do it yourself. There's a lot of things that we have taught ourselves how to do and how to figure out, just simply out of necessity.
Mm-hmm.
Homemade equipment in the shop that needed to fill a specific need that we couldn't justify the spending on at the moment, and we couldn't get in contact with a manufacturer that wanted to contribute it. For instance, we needed to make some firewalls, so we turned our fab table into a sheet metal brake using some barbecue hinges and some free heavy angle iron and about an hour of tinkering around with it, and we were bending sheet metal like it was no one's business, and it actually turned out really nice, surprisingly.
And you know what, honestly, so my husband is, his grandpa taught him to weld when he was little, and he calls them his tools. He'll be doing something and he'll make like a tool, he'll call it, because maybe he has to do 50 of something.
Mm-hmm.
And so he'll make a tool so that he can do 50 instead of do one and then do another. You know what I mean? Yeah. And so you're way ahead of the game, honestly, by teaching yourself and coming up with some of those. And I'll use the word redneck because there's nobody more redneck than my husband. And he's a wonderful welder. Because then he's got the knowledge of how everything works. He didn't have some kind of tool handed to him, and he really doesn't get it. When you have to come up with those ideas and how to make it yourself, then, you really have done something that most people haven't done. So you should pat yourselves on the back and be proud of what you're doing. And I definitely want to know when you get back. I want to have a conversation about how it went and, all the things that you did and funny things that happened and all those kinds of things, because this is going to be very memorable for you.
It's going to be very memorable for us. And it's also going to kind of put the younger generation on the map of
we can do this too.
Yeah. You don't have to have 40 years of experience to do it.
No.
You just got to have the courage and the wherewithal just to grab on and go, I know we are going to try to produce I'm going to call it a grassroots documentary of our journey to the race. It's going to be a lot of, probably cell phone footage. I mean, to be realistic, because we don't have the finances for a film crew to follow us around.
No. So, but it'll work. Those phones do really well, so it'll work just fine.
At the end of the event, I think we're trying to shoot for by the end of the year, have about an hour and a half to 2 hour documentary to put out for everybody to view and see, what is it actually like to go down there and compete in that race, And
what are the dates? When are you going to be there?
Race starts the 16th, and we should be finishing sometime on the 18th. We arrive in Mexico on the 13th, though.
Okay.
So we have a few days because the truck has to go through tech inspection and all that.
Yeah.
You have a day of contingencies. So, different from, typical auto racing, the day before the race, they bring you up on stage and ask for your sponsors and everything, because there's a good chance that you may not make it to the end of the race. You might have a, vehicle failure, and then you didn't get any airtime for your sponsors, and why would they want to spend money on that?
Right.
So we do that before the race, and then if you're lucky and do a good job, then you get to talk about them again at the end.
Okay, good. Well, I'm going to wish you all the luck in the world. I hope you have a great time. I hope you have just the smoothest race that you could possibly have. And then we'll catch up when you get back, and we'll find out all about it. Thank you for being on and sharing what you're doing. I love getting the news out about what young people are doing. And it's not, everybody just thinks it's when you say I'm involved in motorsports. Oh, do you go around in a circle? And that's what all they think about. And it's like, no, there's so many kinds of motorsports, so many ways that you can compete in a vehicle. And most people don't know. And so by having you on the show, not only can we promote the OMYF, but we can also promote, rally. It's rally racing, really. It's off-road racing. It's, it's the kind of racing that we don't do here in Michigan. And so I'm glad that we had a chance to share about it with you guys.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Well, we appreciate you having us on and letting us, kind of tell our story and where we came from, where we are now, and where eventually we're heading,
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Well, we're going to stay in touch much better, Preston, than we have in the past.
Yeah. You know how it gets. You get back from one of those shows and you got 500 emails that need to get sent.
I know.
Stories and stuff you talk to someone about, and you forget who you said what to, about what, when, where, and why, and how. So
totally happens. But now that we've done this, we'll be better about that. So thanks again for being on the show. Good luck to you guys, and I'll catch up with you when you get back.
Sounds good.
Alrighty. Thanks
All
for
right.
having us.
Have a good evening.
Yep.
You too.
Thank you too. Bye.
Have you heard of Youth Racers of America, Inc.? It is a 501c3 nonprofit designed to provide camps, clinics, safety gear, and educational resources for youth race car drivers across the nation. YRA helps racers through three main categories: current youth racers and families, families new to youth racing, and career opportunities for teens. One of the benefits of being a member of the YRA is safety gear discounts. Members who order through YRA receive 15 to 40% off their orders from companies that they partner with. So visit youthracersofamerica.com/register to sign up your youth racer. That's youthracersofamerica.com/register. Enjoy all the member benefits and more for only $20 per year. Or call 844-YRA-KIDS to find out more. Thank you for listening to the Women's Motorsports Network podcast. Subscribe to my show and follow me on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and YouTube. If you or someone you know would like to be featured in the Women's Motorsports Network News online magazine, this podcast, or Let's Talk Racing Live, my social media show, contact me via Messenger on Facebook at Melinda Russell, or send me an email at womensmotorsportsnetwork@gmail.com.